Alrighty. Alright. I'm a little tired here, so bear with me. But this boss fight is a doozy. And with the nerfs, it's actually pretty reasonable. It's pretty decent, this boss fight. So, let's get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about trinkets. Our trinkets are going to be Augury and Cataclysmic Signet Brand. They're going to be doing, uh, basically setting up to do our big single target damage. It is very, very worth it to essentially our job is boss damage, right? We're going to be killing ads, we're going to be doing a lot of damage to the ads, but our job is to do boss damage first and foremost. This is the talent setup we'll be running. It's essentially the same talent setup as Tyndril, but instead of running a point in a Wrecking Throw, we actually use Slam enough that it's worth running Crushing Force. At this point, you should have no trouble getting through the shield with the damage of your raid, especially if you're on Mythic Fyrakk, so we do not need the extra shield damage specifically for it. And we will do overall more damage in the fight by running 2 points in Crushing Force instead. It is possible if you wanted to min-max your damage a little bit to drop Pain and Gain to get Wrecking Throw, but I do not recommend it, as Pain and Gain is a very valuable healing source in a fight that does a crazy, crazy amount of damage, right? So, first and foremost, we need to go over a couple things before we even get into the fight. Realistically, one of your main jobs, especially as a very tanky DPS, is if you get Blaze, unless you have to move to not hit an ad, which shouldn't be a problem with proper positioning, or to not kill the entire raid by hitting a seed, you should never move with Blaze. Moving with Blaze is bad. You can move up and down your Blaze, so you don't change where it's at. But the amount of deaths that we've had to just people double blazing, to multiple people being hit by it, to walking your blaze into someone else last second as theirs goes off, is too many, far too many. Please don't move with your blaze, right? Now, there's a couple ways you can use your potion on this fight as well. Personally, how I like to do it is I'll use my potion with my cooldowns in the shield phase, and then I'll use my potions with all of my second potion with all of my cooldowns at the end. Some people have used potion on pull and then use potion. I don't remember exactly where they use it in the fight. Some people use it during lust. It does somewhat change. It doesn't necessarily change that much, but if depending on when your raid wants to lust after the nerfs, I know a decent amount of people have been lusting phase 2. So at the very start of the phase 2, after the boss comes down, after the shield phase, people lust, sends all their cooldowns into it, and try and kill the boss there. Even though we're lusting that phase, I personally still use my cooldowns on the shield phase, because that means all of my cooldowns then line up with the next ad phases coming up. Because while ad damage is not a priority, right? Like, we're not playing to kill ads. All the ad damage is more of a parse thing. The ads still have to die, right? They still need to die. So because of that, we still want to do ad damage. We want all of our cooldowns to line up, and later on, your cooldowns will line up with your potion usage throughout the fight. So, there we go. Phase 1. Let's get to it. First and foremost, this boss will dash to whoever hits it first. Don't charge early, or you will die. In terms of the legendary activation, after the health nerf, we actually always end up slowing damage. There's another strat where you can push during the second Dream Rend, but if you're progging this fight, you're probably not doing that strat. So you're most likely going to be saving your cooldown. You're using your cooldowns on pull. You'll be saving your cooldowns after this for the shield phase. And I'll show you how I like to use my legendary. Even though it's in my cooldowns, I like to use my legendary early here. I'll generally use it here after these lines come out. You don't want to get hit by these. If it's damage and you don't have to take it, don't take it, right? So I like to use my legendary here. this shape, I generally hold my leap to make sure I can get into position here, but this is generally where you want to put your fire spawns for as the phase continues. I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to talk to you general strategy about this phase. I'm going to talk specifically about warrior stuff. A lot of the general strategy and movement is something you're going to get down. It's something your raid leader can control. So I'm not going to be explaining a lot of mechanics to you, right? See if I do it here. I do not. You'll have a group soak sign. Go to your group soaks, yada yada. Most of the first phase is don't be hit by frontals. Do not move with your blaze. Very, very simple. These blazes are very dangerous. They go off very quickly. One thing you can do, and this is mainly with Spell Reflect. So these mirror images that spawn all shoot frontals, and the boss also shoots a frontal. Weirdly enough, only the boss's frontal can use Spell Reflect and actually take 0 damage from it. You do not reflect damage back to the boss, however, you do not take damage from it. So what you're going to see me do is this is a precarious position. We have a frontal going here, crossover here, we have a blaze going here, and the boss is also frontaling here because of where I positioned. I like to position here because generally what I'll do, which you'll see, is I will Spell Reflect, dodge any frontals coming towards me, and walk into the boss's frontal while using my Reflect, so I get hit by nothing. I took a tick of the fire there, but taking a tick of the fire is better than being hit by the frontal. Now, this part, I like to always save my leap here to get in position. Like, I'll hit the boss up here and use my leap, and it's mainly because I like using it for the 70% move speed you get. Just follow your raid leader, move when you're supposed to. Do not go too far ahead of the boss. If you do, you'll spawn a rogue orb. Once again, this is also very, very dangerous, right? Blaze, blaze, blaze. If you move around, these are way faster than Heroic. If you move around, you can end up killing your teammates very easily by misusing here. So you see me move along my blaze, outside of someone else's blaze, and then I'll move back to the boss. Even though I am a greedy Gus, our damage is not important enough to need to keep 100% uptime in the risk of killing someone else with the blaze, right? Also, I did not mention it, but because we're running 1 minute roar on this fight to line up with the ad phase, you can roar once at the start and once more at the 1 minute mark. Do not use your cooldowns, however. Just send roar just for a little extra boss damage here. It lines up with the shield phase anyway. This is, once again, another dangerous blaze set. I a lot of the times actually play up by the tanks because I like doing that reflect stuff. But if you don't like doing the reflect stuff, generally the best way for you to use your spell reflect is if you get the flame dot, and or the only real unavoidable damage on this phase is the Dream Rend and the wildfires. The Dream Rend will hit you not necessarily harder, but because everybody needs to move, if you want to and you're having trouble, feel free to save and use your Spell Reflect while the Dream Rend is pulling you to reduce a significant amount of that damage. And here our raid leader calls for us to stop DPS. Generally what I'll do here is because I just want the additional healing. It doesn't do a lot of damage. So if I want the additional healing and I'm trying to reduce the cooldown of my Odin's Fury, I am only going to Bloodthirst. I will hit no other buttons. I'm just going to hit the Bloodthirst button. Sometimes my brain turns off and I hit the Rampage because I am DPS brained. But most of the time, I'm just going to hit Bloodthirst. See him here hitting no buttons. And now this, for most people, is where you're going to want to push. After the 10% health nerf, it's very easy to push the boss before this. If you push the boss before this and like at the previous Dream Rend, it's fine. But if you wait to push it here, during his Firestorm cast, you get the cast duration, and you get a full 4 seconds of the Firestorm going off to actually be able to just get as much boss DPS as you can. Phase 1 damage is not that important, but the moment you're actually able to play around your DPS correctly and get as much damage as possible onto the boss, if he drops, like here, he's dropped below 60 or 70%, all of the damage from now on, the moment you're able to basically suck as much damage you can out of the phase, matters for the rest of the fight. You're on a countdown from the moment you hit 70%. Because we're pushing here, we like to drop our stuff in the middle, just because when the boss comes back down in P2 or P1.5 during the intermission, he will soak all these up and they'll just go away. This is also where I like to use my second legendary activation. I'll only really note it here for the rest of the fight. You can use it whenever you're comfortable. But I like to use it here just because it allows you to essentially put a bunch of damage into the boss before going into the shield phase while the damage matters. I also like to pool enough rage to be able to rampage as well. Because once you get into the shield phase, this is where we potion, right? Essentially follow the weak aura here. It's going to tell you where to go, what orb to soak. Just follow it, do your job. It's a stupid mechanic. I would have really rather they made this mechanic where the first orb you hit gave you this debuff, so you could actually always plan on evenly spreading around the boss and not need this weak aura nonsense to guarantee that you were going to do this correctly, because hitting the wrong orb instantly kills you, and any orb going through instantly wipes your entire raid. So, like, I really don't like this mechanic. It shouldn't have been privated in the first place. But here is where I will pot and I'll send my cooldowns. This phase is pretty simple. Just make sure every orb is being soaked, and then do as much damage as possible. Don't hit someone else's orb. This is another situation where moving with your blaze is bad. Bad, bad, bad. Do not move with your blaze. Your entire raid group is already taking a ton of pulsing damage from the corrupt. They're taking bonus damage from every single orb they're soaking. Moving with your blaze will generally get somebody killed here, so please do not do it. Bad, bad, bad. This here is where we are lusting. I personally don't like saving my cooldowns for this lust because it misaligns with how I've practiced this fight a lot, but you might be asked to hold your cooldowns through the shield phase to lust here and put as much damage into the boss as possible. Now is where things get tricky, because you see people have blazes. The reason we pulled the boss up front here is so we can dodge putting blazes into the ads. Even if these ads get shielded, blazes can turn them into spirits, and that is bad. Do not hit your ads with the blazes. It is very important. Where I personally like to go on this fight is when if I get a blaze, or just in general, I like to move upwards towards this tip here, because 99% of the time, depending on the angle of your blaze, you're going to be able to just walk up here. No firestorms are going to spawn on you. You will be safe. You will not be hitting the boss and doing a bit less damage, but you will not die to all the stuff about to come out. This is also one of the most dangerous points in the fight, these greater firestorms, because there's swirlies on the ground, people are moving with blazes, they're trying not to hit the ads. 100% you want to spell reflect and potentially enrage regeneration, depending on how suspect things are. You see here, I get the blaze, I push it off the platform so it's behind any ads. We're good to go. So most of the time everybody's going to be focusing the Burning Colossus because you only want to deal with these circles once. Because we have good enough DPS, I focus the Dark Colossus personally. The reason being I do not want to drop my Frenzy stacks as little times as possible. So for the sake of optimizing my damage overall in this fight, I focus down, or I sit on the Dark Colossus. You want to be positioned on this side because in case you get a cage, you need to go to the positions. You will also be... They fixed the weak aura or the intermission of this fight. But if you get this cage, just like Smolderon, you need to hit your cringe macro to let the weak aura know that you have this fire and you're going to break. I always have my leap available here, so if you leap at the start of that phase, you will always have your leap available for this. I always keep my leap just because it allows me to position where I want. I also don't have to worry about being in those purple circles or close enough to them. I don't have to worry about getting move speed from anybody. That's how I like to play it. I am now... This is where I'm also holding my cooldowns till everything's getting pretty close to grouped up. So once it's grouped up enough, I'll pop my cooldowns and just start cleaving and going away. If you're following how I do things, your next legendary active will be ready around here. I personally just pretty much send it once all of the ads are affected by it. It really buffs the amount of damage the active damage is doing. If you want to like min-max it a little bit, you can wait till these ads are almost dead, much like Tendril, so it kind of funnels the damage into the Dark Colossus a little more. But I just kind of send it just to get it on cooldown to use it, do as much damage as possible, and get these ads killed. Now, once again, we are moving the boss back up the platform, because if we get blazes, we want to make sure we're not hitting the ads with them. See how we're positioned up here, and I have a blaze? It's not even near the ads, so... It is big important to make sure you are not hitting the ads with the blaze, to make sure you're not hitting other people with the blaze. The best way to do that, if you have a blaze, people will most of the time move out of it. So that being the case, just don't move with your blaze if you don't have to. Once again, these two firestorms are just one of the most dangerous parts of this fight. I have a vertical blaze, so I move under the boss, which normally has a pocket. I almost die, so I get hit by a firestorm swirly. But I hit no ads with my blaze. Something you can do here is normally I'll actually hold Odin's Fury because I want to do as much ad damage as possible. So I will hold Odin's Fury and Roar just to make sure I'm doing all the ad damage that's necessary for this phase. Once again, running up and down your blaze. Do not run side to side. Do not kill people. Do not hit ads. You're going to hear this from your raid leader as much as you're hearing it from me. Don't worry, you'll hear it a lot. So I debuff everything, roar, and once again, still focusing the Dark Colossus. Another side note, which is interesting. So the cages and the fire swirlies, both of them come from the Fire Colossus. So the moment it dies, these cages don't go off. The fire still goes off. So if for some reason you miss somebody in a cage, you can wait till this fire comes out and then kill the Colossus and then break them free. However, this also means this fire damage can, because it's still going off, it means it can cleave, it means it can affect ads, and you can kill teammates with it. So still do not stack with these, and do not hit ads with these. You can actually still turn ads. Even after the fire guy is dead, you can hit them with that circle, so you can see it explode, and turn and kill ads too. At the tail end of this phase, depending on the health of the golem, I'll pop my cooldowns. But here, the boss is going to be down for a while, so now you just pop your cooldowns and get damage into him. Once again, pre-position, don't hit the ads of the blaze. We end up hitting one here. It is very important that your team CCs this as quick as possible, because it's going to be doing additional damage to these ads, which the ads need to be healed for the tree, but that is the healer's job. Your job is to make sure you do not hit other people and you do not hit ads with your blaze. I use my legendary one more time before phase 3, and phase 3 is where the fun begins and the timer is really on the clock. Phase 3 has a ton of wipe conditions, but using what we have learned from the previous 2 phases, this is where you will be using yourself to the fullest, right? Do not move with Blaze. You will take the tornadoes out. And that's it. Other than that, you're hitting the boss. I have Blaze. I do not move. Even if it's a precarious situation, if you have a second Blaze on you, pop defensive stance, pop Enrage Regeneration, pop Spell Reflect, pop whatever you need to not fucking move. Do not fucking move in this phase. One little movement can kill your entire raid if you hit a seed. So please, love of God, we are tanky as shit. Do not move. If you get these Firestorm circles, you want to take them. Imagine this is our platform. You want to take them all the way out to the edge if you can. Literally all the way out. They will swirl. They will cause problems. They will stay there for a long time and just be a big problem. If you, I'm not joking, if you drop one, like let's say if you fuck up and you use your legendary active when you get one of these, and you drop one like here in the middle of the raid, you've essentially wiped your entire raid. It's you can kind of play around it, but realistically, you've wiped your whole raid if you drop a tornado anywhere near the middle of this platform. Another side thing to note, we're going to have big blazes here, but right before the Apocalypse Roar, the boss spawns fire puddles. You'll notice a lot of the fire puddles are targeted onto players. So what you want to do is you want to stand off of your stack marker, bait the pools, and then move on to your stack marker. That way everybody has a safe place to go, and then you can drop seeds. Our strategy here, because we had enough damage with the 10% health nerf, was to drop 2 of our good seeds. So we only had 2 good seeds and 1 bad seed to deal with after the roar. Basically, we're just removing wipe conditions by doing this. If your group has good DPS, I'd highly recommend doing this. And now what I like to do is, if you're following, I don't know if you're going to be using the same exact boss positioning that we are. A lot of people are probably using the same strat, but I like to move all the way over here is where I like to be. This is my little corner. It allows me to see what's going on. I'm able to stay away from everybody else. If I get blazes right here, I am out of range. Generally, your tanks are going to have a seed. I'm going to be out of range of my tanks. My other part of the blaze will be sent off the platform, not towards anybody else, trying to hold and keep the seeds safe. I like to play here. If you get another Firestorm, you can just try and get it all the way out to the edge of the platform here. Once again, roar into puddles. You have to just dip in and then leave. See, we have our corrupted seed here. We have 1 good seed, and the other corrupted seed just spawned. The really big thing here, just like Tendril, honestly, is personal play, right? Personal play. And what you want to do is, once you're in this phase, like I said, pop whatever you need to. Don't fucking move with Blaze. Just fucking don't. If 2 people, if someone is standing on you with a Blaze, and you also have Blaze, if you can move up and down your Blaze to get out of it, cool. If you can't, just fucking die. Please, 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 do not be the reason your raid wipes. Like right here. I was not following the Eternal Firestorm marker, the tracker, and I sent my legendary. I lucked out and had enough time to leap out of the raid. However, if I timed that any more poorly, I could have potentially killed my entire raid right there. Once again, just don't move the blaze. Please. Please, God, you're going to hear me say it. Your raid leader's going to say it. Don't move with the blaze. So this is where my next... Like, my potion aligned previously. Like, if I go back to my previous set of cooldowns, my potion actually aligns with my cooldowns here, so you're free to send your potions here with your cooldowns. Excuse me. I forgot to, so I sent my potion here with my cooldowns. I was designated to pick up this seed, and here is where something you can also learn from. The bad seed spawns all the way up here. The seeds used to spawn like here and here, but now the bad seed spawns all the way up here. You can see all the firestorms, they're still there, but somebody dropped the fucking firestorm right where the seed was going to be. Right? If this timing was literally any worse, this is going to go through and your entire raid wipes. Do not put your tornado near the bad seed. Do not do it. For the love of God, tornadoes to the sides, not at the back. One thing you saw me do there, which normally melee don't really get assigned to seeds, but you saw me, I waited a little bit to drop my seed because I got a blaze, but if I drop it instantly and then somebody else gets a blaze, it's possible I just leave my seed on the floor for someone else to die. So I drop mine a little later, just so I'm able to guarantee that I'm not going to drop a blaze on it. Or that I'm not going to leave it in someone else's blaze. But here, once again, we get fire tornadoes, but we kill the boss. I will play the sound of my people.
Tornadoes, get these tornadoes out. Get these tornadoes.
Kill the boss!
Kill the boss!
Let's go! But the big, really though, the big lessons for this fight, more so than any else, is just don't move with the fucking blaze. Just don't move with it. If you're off the boss, you're off the boss. It is what it is. But please, the amount of deaths that were caused by people just, oh, maybe I can just move here, maybe I can move there. The amount of time and reaction it takes for people to see that you've moved your blaze on top of them can just get them killed over and over and over again. So please, here's how we do the fight. P1, you do not get hit by frontals. P1, you do not move with the blaze. P2, we use our cooldowns and make sure we break the shield. Or I guess P1.5 is the shield phase. In P2, we move towards the front of the platform to make sure we are not hitting ads or other people with our blaze, even if we have to get off the boss. And then once again, if we can't help it, do not move with the blaze. This fight, for us, honestly, just don't move with the blaze. Just if you can't help it, just don't move with the blades. There are very, very dangerous situations here, which I click to advantageously for me, right? But realistically, a lot of your pain points are going to be, or a lot of the most dangerous parts of this game, of this boss fight now, are these greater firestorms, because there's blaze lines going out. There's swirlies on the floor. You don't want to be near the tanks because they have these big circles and that's kind of scary. But honestly, if you need more space, feel free to stand in these circles. As long as you're out of these circles before the greater firestorm finishes, you will not take damage from the ads falling. But since the boss got nerfed, it's way easier. It's way more forgiving. We actually had a P3 pull where we killed a tree, and we actually had to kill a tree to progress and actually killed it in time to go to the last phase. But when it's scary, do not feel bad about stepping off the boss. Don't feel bad about using defensives. Play well. Don't move with your blaze. You can kill the boss. I believe in you. You can do it. This video, honestly, it's very difficult. I just realized we're at fucking 30 minutes, right? We're at 30 minutes on a fucking 10-minute video. Just because I've been talking about a whole bunch of shit. Realistically, if you guys have questions about this shit, about this fight, things you can do, things you're curious about, please ask me. I get notifications on it. I check my notifications every now and then. I will see them. I will reply to you. But this is a very difficult fight. Things can go wrong very quickly. People can die in an instant. There is a crazy amount of damage going out at all times. So please, 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 don't move with the blaze. Play safe and have fun. Bye-bye.